The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to the Lord. When Jesus looked up and saw some wealthy people putting their offerings into the treasury, he noticed a poor widow putting in 2 small coins. He said, "I tell you truly, this poor widow put in more than all the rest. Those others have all made offerings from their surplus wealth, but she, from her poverty, has offered her whole livelihood." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
It's often been said, and it is really quite true, that the gospel is really one of contradiction. We're very aware, and we certainly know the meaning and the rhythm of this story about the poor widow. But if you ever wondered and thought to yourself, well, how could she do that? Didn't she think to herself, like at some point, will I have enough? What am I going to eat today? I don't know about you. I don't think about what I'm going to eat today. I got a freezer full of food. Well, I know you probably do too. But it's equally true that by and large, people give from their surplus. That's understandable. It's what happens. But that's kind of the contradiction here, isn't it? She doesn't have anything. And it would be fair to say, I think correct, that her poverty is her lack of worldly goods. But it didn't bother her. Somehow she had such a great trust in God. Maybe, I don't think that's part of the story, but maybe there was a benefactor out there that she knew would eventually take care of her. Maybe she was long in the habit of going along and begging the scraps that fall from, let's say, the bread cart or the fruit cart or the other vendors, and maybe just found food as she could. The point is that she trusted God. Now, in this case, it would imply that her poverty was her lack of money. But for ourselves, it would probably be more fruitful to think about what is our poverty. I know there's poor people in the parish. I know we gave away 23 to 25 baskets for food, and I'm very glad that we're able to do that through your generosity. By and large, economically speaking, most people have the basic necessities. They're not worrying about what they're going to eat every day. But we all have a poverty, don't we? Sometimes our poverty might be love. It might be loneliness. It might be jealousy or envy or some other thing that hinders our ability to become more fully human. What's the poverty of love? Well, we might not have enough love in our lives because we don't let people love us. We're afraid of love. It's too inconvenient. It's distracting, and it's hard. Sometimes loneliness. Many of you have lost a spouse or a loved one. You live alone. Not uncommon. It's an epidemic, not only in our place, but around the world. Loneliness. You think with 8 billion of us here, we could probably maybe find somebody to talk to. So sometimes if we can give a couple of coins of attention or listening or just noticing other people and acknowledging them, it's the same kind of reality that if we give from that place in us that might be wounded or needing or wanting, and we give that part of ourselves away, then we, like the woman, as Jesus implies, will be greatly blessed. If we set aside our judgment or our jealousy or our envy or our fear of love and the inconvenience it might bring us, and we reach out and touch a person, even by simply listening to their problems, offering them a word of hope or consolation, that's worth 2 cents. You know how the phrase goes. Well, how does that go? well, here's my 2 cents worth of opinion. Nowadays, you can't really afford to do that because you never know the feedback you're going to get. But can we give 2 small coins of care, attention? Can we be aware enough in ourselves, our poverty, what we're poor of is really what we probably can most afford to give away, because it will return to us 30 or 60 or 100-fold. It will. It's grace. I don't know that I can say what the poverty of Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were, but maybe it was their poverty of faith. And so poor did they feel because they were away from their church religion and the signs and symbols and expressions of their religion. They were in a hunger and a need for God. And so they said, well, no, I'm not going to eat your food. This isn't about the best diet. This isn't, no, I don't know diets. What's the name I'm trying to think of? All you do is eat meat. Dumb idea. Anyways, it's about his faith. And his poverty was his longing for God. So he said, no. Now, there's a lot of interesting little details here. Notice the chamberlain, which probably, well, maybe today we call a butler. Anybody got one of those? No. But he simply did the day-to-day business of the king. But notice the rapport he seems to have with these young men. They must have been affable enough that you could interact easily enough. And really, we're using the Mass, as you recognized in the opening prayer, the Mass for captivity. And in the prayer, the opening prayer, those who are trapped in the captivity of sin. But then the second half of that prayer said, those who are held unjustly. I'm thinking about the Israelites and the Palestinians, the people from Ukraine, immigrants, exiles, and refugees who are in the poverty of a homeland, security, and basic necessities of stabilities of life. The chamberlain is trying to have a rapport with them, but he says, no, I'm afraid because if I don't do what the king says, I know I'll be out of a job. And they're having this interaction, and you can tell that, because they're going back and forth. Well, no, you let us try it for 10 days. The stories really are parallel. The poverty of the woman, it matches the poverty of Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. They both put their poverty in the hands of God. They trusted. The point isn't that vegetables are better for us, but they are. So think about it. What might be a poverty of yours? Mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual. That might be a place where we can give to others in some kind of a way, realizing that we're getting much more than we can ever give. We're receiving back much more than we could ever give. May God be praised by our worship this day, and may today's Mass have a positive effect not only in you, but throughout the world, especially those who are unjustly imprisoned.